Free agent center Deandre Ayton is expected to sign with the Lakers. That's per multiple reports. He finalized a buyout with the Trailblazers on Sunday and has officially cleared waivers. The former #1 overall pick spent the past 2 seasons in Portland, averaging just under 16 points and 11 rebounds per game. He now joins a Lakers team looking to contend for a title with LeBron James and Luka Doncic. And for more, we bring in CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez. And John, despite all of the buzz, the Lakers have been relatively quiet to open the offseason and adding pieces around Luka and LeBron. But now they had a 26-year-old former #1 pick coming off a solid season in Portland. But I want to get your take on this move.
I can't believe he's only 26. That blows my mind. It feels like he's been in the league forever. This was like the worst kept secret in the league, Kiana. I mean, there were some rumblings about maybe Deandre Ayton would go to Indiana after Miles Turner left, but it always felt like the real preferred destination was going to end up as the Lakers. And I think it would have gotten done sooner. But as you mentioned, he had to clear waivers first. Free agency started on Monday, and then yesterday was day 2. So we had to wade through waivers today. He clears. He ends up in L.A., and it addresses a big issue for the Lakers. Don't forget last year, they were basically starting Jackson Hayes at center, but that was really in name only. They'd start him, and then J.J. Redick would yank him out of there, and you got a lot of small ball 5 last year after they traded for Luka with LeBron at the 5 and also Dorian Finney-Smith. Well, Dorian Finney-Smith left, went to Houston, so then that takes away one of your, actual functional centers. So they get DeAndre Ayton in there. He'll be a nice lob threat for them. It's a 1-and-1, but this isn't really so much about this year as this is, if it works out with DeAndre Ayton, great for the Lakers, but if not, they can walk away in the same way that once LeBron picked up his option, they can move off of him next offseason if they so choose. And it will open up a ton of cap space for the Lakers as they try to figure out what they want to be moving forward and how they're going to build around Luka long term. Because, look, they were the 3rd seed in the Western Conference and a loaded Western Conference last year. Good for them. They're going to have designs on competing again this year, but they're probably still pretty far off, even with signing DeAndre Ayton from the OKCs of the world. I love what the Rockets have done. The Nuggets really helped bolster their bench and their starting unit by getting Cam Johnson. So the Lakers, they get Ayton, they address a need in a center, but still probably a tier below those other teams.
Oh, well, now, I mean, you brought it up because I was saying we can't talk about the Lakers without addressing the elephant in the room. They're building for the future. LeBron clearly wants to win a championship, and it's possible that those two things don't go hand in hand as the focus now shifts to building around Luka. So in your mind, what's next for L.A.?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, they could still use some more shooting, right? But they end up replacing Dorian Finney-Smith with Jake LaRavia. I know that they said that they were targeting Jake LaRavia. I don't think anybody has ever targeted Jake LaRavia. Congrats, Jake, on being targeted for the first time in your career. But ultimately, this is kind of be one of those things where they're going to see where they are and come along slowly here. Maybe there's a couple of veteran minimums out there that they can add to this team. But really, for the Lakers, again, it's about next season. If they keep their powder dry, Kiana, this season, and they don't trade their 2031 first-round pick, they could potentially have their 2031 plus their 2033 first-round picks in the offseason that they could package with all that cap space that'll be coming off their books if and when LeBron James decides to leave. That'd be like $52 million that comes off. So now all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of things that you could put together and say, okay, well, how can we reposition this team around Luka moving forward? Because look, LeBron is still amazing, right? He made 2nd team All-NBA last year, but he's going to be 41 in December, so he's got another year, maybe 2 left, whereas Luka at 26, they're in it for the long term for him. So it just makes sense from a team building perspective for the Lakers to go, okay, let's slow roll this thing, let's see what we are, and then next offseason is going to be the major moves.
It's all about looking ahead, maybe not necessarily this year, but what happens the following year. But hey, as we talk about building around Luka, the Lakers reportedly interested in Damian Lillard after his release from the Bucks, along with the Warriors. That's another team who's emerged in the mix. Now, both teams already set at point guard, but how do you see this maybe playing out for Lillard as he spends this next year recovering from that Achilles injury?
Yeah, the Warriors thing is interesting, Kiana, right? Because he's a Bay Area guy. He could go back to the Warriors. I know you like that. But for Lillard, I don't know that this really necessarily matters. I don't know that he needs to go out there and rush and attach himself to a team, right? Because he's going to be rehabbing, and that's really a pretty solitary pursuit. And when he's done, he's still going to be 36 coming off an Achilles injury, right? So if you're a team, do you really want to do that right now? Do you want to just wait and see how he progresses? And similarly for Lillard, think about how much can change in a year, Kiana. A year ago, we were talking about the Boston Celtics as the NBA champions, and are they going to be a dynasty? Luka still played in Dallas. KD was in Phoenix, right? I mean, like, all of these things changed so quickly that if I was Damian Lillard, I'd want to wait, get through my rehab, and then, like, get a lay of the land, see who's good, see who has a chance to compete. All of a sudden, like, who's the best fit for me? Because if I'm Damian Lillard, again, 36 coming off of an Achilles, how much do I have to contribute? I might want to have, you know, a year or two of trying to chase a ring rather than just chase some money. So I'd pump the brakes a little bit if I was Damian Lillard, wait this thing out, rehab on my own, and then see where I am a year from now.
I mean, because pun intended, you're absolutely right. The ball is really in his court at this point because, like you mentioned, we talked about it was a year ago. We're sitting here talking about the Celtics and what they could look like and what they could do this year. And meanwhile, we see how that played out. So maybe taking a step back and playing a little bit of the waiting game might work in his favor. But let's go back to the Warriors really quick because Jonathan Kuminga, a restricted free agent, no real traction as of yet between both parties where we stand as of today. But how do you see this playing out with Kuminga?
Slowly, I think. As you said, there's no real traction so far. And so this thing is like everybody's kind of going nice and slow and feeling each other out here. He's only 22 years old, which also blows my mind. They've been developing him for a while. Now, if you remember, a few years ago, they had this whole two-timeline idea where they were going to develop the young guys while simultaneously trying to win a championship. Didn't work out. They've quickly realized that they're going to have to shelve the project, bring the young guys along at the same time idea and go with the winners. And they won that bonus chip a few years ago, and it worked out. But now they're in a situation with Jonathan Kuminga where Steve Kerr flat out said after they traded for Jimmy Butler that he doesn't like the spacing with Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Kuminga on the floor. So Kuminga fell out of the rotation. Not surprising because those guys are all sort of like similar overlap in terms of skill set. I think it would really behoove Jonathan Kuminga and the Warriors to find a landing spot for Kuminga, some place where a change of scenery, where he could actually get some minutes and play, Kiana, because when fully healthy, he probably doesn't factor into their plans this year. So teams that have been mentioned for Jonathan Kuminga potentially interested. The Miami Heat have popped up a lot. Be interesting to see him with Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. Now, I'm not sure what they'd get back. The Chicago Bulls, you know, Nikola Vucevic would make a lot of sense for the Warriors. He's still on the Bulls roster for reasons surpassing understanding, but they're really right now focused on getting Giddey's contract done. And also, the Warriors might be looking at Al Horford, so who knows if that kind of mucks up the whole, you know, swap him for Vooch idea. Sacto and New Orleans, they've been mentioned. New Orleans with Joe Dumars, they're just out there willy-nilly, like guns a-blazing. You never know what they're going to do. They're total wild cards. So I think on the whole, Kiana, there will be interest in Kuminga, but it seems like this thing is going to progress at a pace.
That's a nice way to put it. It's going to progress at a pace, maybe not as quickly as we've seen some other things going on with, you know, the Warriors counterparts out there in the West. But as we stand right now, Jonathan may be seeing both parties going separate ways in this one. As always, Jonathan Gonzalez, thanks so much for that. Well, Kuminga among the top free agents available. The Chicago Bulls have yet to agree to terms with guard Josh Giddey on a new contract. Meanwhile, well, we heard John Gonzalez mention the name five-time All-Star Al Horford still available. His name linked to several teams, including those Warriors, Knicks, Lakers, among some others.